Hi, I'm Kerz Kinetic, and this is Rocks. This is the second video in the dog philosophy series, and in it I make a single claim and then go on to explain my thinking behind that claim. Human beings and dogs, though different, are equal. And the reason I think that is that it seems to me that the arguments that apply cross-gender, cross-race, cross-age, cross-ability would also apply cross-species. Whenever we speak of equality, it's never about being the same physical capacity or intellect. It's always moral equality that we're talking about. And personally, I think it ought to apply cross-species. Come on, let's go, girl. I was born in 1959, and so I grew up throughout the second wave of feminism. And the arguments being made for why women are equal but different to men made complete sense to me. These were certainly different times from now, and amazingly, most men, and many women, truly believed women were somehow inferior to men, and argued things like that women aren't as strong as men, or as logical, or intelligent, or capable as men. Arguments which seem ridiculous today. And they were always arguments which focused on both the inherent and the conditioned attributes of masculinity, as if that were the only or the best measure for being human. The same type of thinking is also applied to race and sexual preference. Basically, it's just that those who dominate get the call on what it is to be normal, or what constitutes an ideal human being, which, of course, are the very attributes they themselves possess and exhibit. Now, I am one of those hetero-white males I'm talking about, which means I'm also an apex oppressor, and I loathe that fact. But the stuff is so deeply conditioned in me that I can't seem to completely rid myself of it, despite always working toward that goal. Because I'm also a human being, and I wish for the well-being of all life around me. So here's what I've identified we oppressors do, and how I, as an oppressor, seek to counter it. Historically, we men describe how other groups of people are, and then demand they conform to our description. For example, a good woman is gentle and nurturing, and any who aren't that way are not good women. Or we deny people of colour adequate education and meaningful employment, and then declare them to be ignorant and lazy. And on it goes. But obviously, women are whoever and however they are, regardless of men's description. And really, it doesn't even make sense thinking of women as one homogeneous group. And it's perhaps even more outrageously ludicrous to think of people of colour as a group. Surely only something a whitey can do. And so, being an inalienable member of the apex oppressor group, if I want to contribute to the liberation of others, rather than telling anyone else how they should be, I must ask, who are you really, and how do you need me to be? Now, dear viewer, I ask you to suspend for a moment any concept of which niche you fill within our species, and think of yourself as belonging to the single group human beings. And from there to recognise that just as I'm an oppressor of peoples, we are all, together as human beings, the oppressor of animals. Think of the things I've just said and consider, isn't this also the way we humans behave towards animals? Don't we all think we know, for example, what constitutes a good dog, and demand that they be this thing we describe? Rox here came to me as a 3-year-old, which makes her the equivalent of a young adult. She came to me fully formed as herself, regardless of what or how I think she should be. So doesn't it make sense for me, if I'm committed to being anti-oppressive, to ask of her, who are you really, and how do you need me to be? Anyway, whether I be right or wrong about these things, I assure you, as an oppressor, that assuming this stance ends up being good for me and my own liberation from the oppressor role. Because, as the adage goes, no one can be fully liberated until everyone is liberated. Well, that's it for this video. And please remember, you do me a favour if you can smash the like, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and leave any comments or questions, criticism or contradictions, which I'll try to get around to discussing in further videos. See ya.